Hey, it's Ross O'Loughlin here, and welcome to the second video in the Offer Cube series. In this series of videos, we are going to be kind of pulling apart what goes into creating a really compelling offer in the world of online education, right? Particularly if you are an education entrepreneur, meaning you've got some sort of course, coaching program, or membership site that you're using to kind of share your expertise, talents, wisdom, and awesomeness with the world and helping other people who are coming to you looking for help make their lives better. This is best. I'm going to say it's one of the best models that you're going to find out there on how to construct an offer that's really going to get people excited to buy. Right? Let's put it that way. Excited to go on their journey with you. Now, I say that with a lot of confidence because I've been working on offers in this space for about 8 years now. Right? Started with my kind of expertise in unique selling propositions back when I was kind of a fledgling copywriter. That was kind of an area I focused in on. How do you construct a selling proposition, that's going to uniquely position you as the obvious choice for some segment of the market, right? That's what a unique selling proposition really is. But it's kind of one element to an offer, right? That's what I realized early on was, okay, I know how to find the unique element. But then when I was working with a lot of clients, they just didn't understand the other elements of how an offer fits together, right? And it's natural, right? Like, a lot of entrepreneurs are not professional marketers. And I would say marketers fail a lot of entrepreneurs with how they explain offers because it's very amorphous. Loads of different people have different kind of styles of making them. But after 8 years of kind of unpacking the problem, I've put together a model where it's like, hey, if you've got these components in your offer, right, like it's going to work to some extent. And even if it's not a world-beating offer, you'll get the data that you need, and you can diagnose the offer to see, well, where is it lacking, and where can we fix it? Right now, in the last video, we were talking about the invisible offer problem, right? Which is the problem that how I describe the problem that most people coming to me in the education space kind of suffer with their offers, right? The offers are kind of invisible externally, meaning the market's not getting enough exposure to them, often because there's a conversion problem with the offer that's stopping us from basically finding ways to get more leads, get more exposure for the offer, and get it out there, right? If not enough people are seeing your offer, it's probably a function because the offer's not all that great, because you're not getting enough yeses to finance and to kind of support the marketing efforts that are going to allow you to go out there and get in front of more people, essentially, right? That's kind of the first element of a weak offer, right? Is it's invisible to the market at large. Now, the second element of a weak offer, like we spoke about though, is kind of the internal side of invisibility, which is you need to realize your offer is not your product, and your product is not your offer, right? You can look at your product, right? Like I can look at the monitor here, I can look at the Stream Deck here, I can look at the iPad in front of me, and these are all tangible physical products. Now, in the world of education, like you probably have a digital side to your product, right? Maybe that's a membership site or a video series or a video course. Maybe you've got some physical products as well, like books that you ship out to people. But for the most part, while your product may be visible, your offer is invisible because it's kind of the intangible combination of price, of the promise, of the product, of the deal, the guarantee, like all of these things coming together, right, to articulate to the market, this is what I've got for you. Will you say yes to it or will you not, right? And that is the issue, right? Is that all that stuff is invisible to you, and if your offer's not working, you can't see which part is broken. It's not like you can pull out the machine here and try and turn it on and like, does it turn on? No. Well, is it plugged in? Like, it's invisible, it's intangible, so it's hard to diagnose. So that's the issue that I saw with a lot of my clients. And I said, okay, well, how do we pull this apart and model it out so that we can kind of like move through the process and identify, is this broken? Is this broken? Is this broken? Do we have this part? Do we have this part? Right? And if we don't, then we know where the issues lie. So I want to kind of unpack the model that we use for you, right? I call it the offer cube. And the offer cube is one of the core dimensions of the core model that we use here in conversion engineering to help our clients grow their education-based businesses, right? And that is the conversion engineering model here, right? So as we kind of talked about briefly in the last video, conversion engineering model, three-part model to help you diagnose where the issues are in the growth side of your business. Now, whenever we're looking at this, right, what I want you to be able to look at is, okay, let's kind of peel out here and look at the dimension that's most important to us. Now, and in this video series, that dimension is the offer cube. Okay, so what the offer cube is, we're going to put an OF on this for offer, and the offer cube represents everything here on the offer dimension of the model, right? 3 dimensions to a cube. We're talking about the offer dimension here, and I want to unpack for you, well, what really goes in to an offer, right? When we say you need to work on your offer, what do we really mean? Because for the most part, people hear that and go, I know, but then they don't know what they actually need to do. So let's kind of pull apart what the 3 dimensions are, right? So for the offer cube, the first dimension, right, is the most important dimension. So we're going to put it on the spine of the cube here, and that is your offering, right? Now, we're going to be diving into offering like a lot, right? Because it's the core part that we need to talk about, right? But your offering is essentially the thing that you were going to put in front of people and say, this is what I've got for you. Do you want to buy it, right? Now, you can only do that with folks who are considering your offer, right? And there's elements that go into your offering that we're going to put apart. And we're going to be diving into this, so I'm going to move on quickly, okay? But your offering, for what you just need to understand right now in this part of the video, is essentially the thing you're going to put in front of people who are interested in working with you or who are kind of evaluating you as a potential fit, okay? Now, the next part of your offer is your messaging, okay? Now, your messaging is very different to your offering, right? It's part of your offer, right? But it is not your offering, right? It's very different. What the messaging is, these are the messages that you are putting out into the market to attract people to your front door, right? It's what you're putting in your ads. It's what you're putting in your emails, right? It's what you're saying on the podcast. The message that you've got is going to be very closely related to the offering that you have for them. And what you're looking to do with messaging is attract the right people to your front door so you can have a sales conversation with them. If that sales conversation is happening on a sales page, fantastic. If it's happening in a chat, awesome. If it's happening over the phone or on a webinar, great, right? But the sales conversation is where you're having a back and forth dialogue with someone as they're evaluating your offering to see, is this what I want, right? But before they even get to your offering, they have to look at your messaging and say, is this person even the right fit for me? Are they even making the right noises? Everyone's got to looking for a solution that's kind of vaguely defined in their mind. And when they see messaging that's kind of signposting them in the right direction, it's like, that person's making the right noises for me. They seem to know what they're talking about. I'm going to lean into them. That's really what great messaging does. And it's only a tool that's useful insofar as it's going to attract people to your front door, right? Who can then evaluate your offering. Okay. Now, the last part to your offers, right, and your offer, working on your offer, is your sequencing, right? Now, what sequencing is it's how you put offers in a row to move people through your sales process, through your marketing process, right? Great marketing is all about sequencing offers in the right order, okay? If you do that, you create this pathway that people can kind of come through and accelerate through, because at every step they're like, that's exactly what I need. That's exactly what I need. And someone can come from kind of a free click or an opt-in or a paid ad or whatever and see this first offer that you've got and then the subsequent offers in a row that's going to allow you to kind of move people from, evaluating you at a kind of a high level awareness down to getting ready to make a decision about whether your core offering, what you're actually selling, is the thing that they are looking for, right? So when we're talking about working on your offer, there's 3 areas that you can kind of look at, right? Your offering, the thing that you're going to put in front of someone to say, is this what you want, right? There is the messaging, which is what the message is surrounding your offer that's going to get people leaning in and saying, hey, like, are you even the right fit for me? And then the last one is your sequencing, which is how you're going to put offers in a row to create this conversion pathway that people can kind of accelerate down, right? Now, this is really critical to understand. Now, what I want to be clear about though is that by far the biggest area and biggest win for you, because I'm assuming that you are very closely aligned with the clients that I kind of work with, right? Meaning you've got some sort of education-based business, right? You help people with your expertise, with how you can, guide them onto a better position, help them solve their problems right now, but helping them do it. You're not kind of doing it in a done for you way, right? And if that's you, like, you're probably not trying to scale to like $20 million, right? Like, maybe you are, maybe you're hyper ambitious, right? And that's awesome. Those folks are kind of few and far between. For most folks, we're looking to just hit, I don't know, $500,000. Big marker that a lot of people come to me with is, I want to get to $20,000 a month. Then we get to $50,000 a month, and then we move on to $1 million if people are feeling ambitious. Now, you're probably somewhere in that pocket. And if that is you, most likely the biggest area, biggest opportunity of conversion amplification, let's say, is going to be in your offering. So that's why I want to kind of pull apart this part of the cube here. Okay. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to move all of this down here so we can kind of center it. And we're actually going to pull out the offering cube, right? So if we look here and we pull this out here and we look just at the offering cube, which is going to basically be representing, let's change this color here to gold. This is representing here on the offering cube what, if we put OG on this to distinguish it from OF, right? Because this is the offer, we're talking about the offering. What are the three components that go into a great offering, right? Well, the first part is your product. Now, earlier I said your product is not your offer, right? That is very, very true. But your offer, right, does contain an offering, and you do have a product to offer people. But you need to take that product and add some additional elements to it in order for someone to be able to say yes or no to the thing. Now, great marketing starts with a great product. And if you don't have a great product, that's probably the first place that we need to focus, right? Because your product needs to be capable. It needs to be able to get results for people. And if your product is like some sort of coaching program, right, or a course, obviously that's going to involve your coaching or coaching from someone on your team. But what you have assembled as a product is what we're going to consider your product. It doesn't have to be a physical, tangible product, right? Now, as part of that, we need to understand the promise. Now, the promise is very different to your product. The product is what is going to actually get the result for people, right? It's what they're going to be able to use. But when people are evaluating your program, evaluating your offering, what they're really looking at is the promise, right? What is this going to do for me? If I purchase this, what am I going to get out of it? Okay? And it's really important that if you don't have a clear promise, if you don't have a compelling, clear promise for your market, like, they're going to pass it over, right? So first thing I work with a lot of my clients on is like, well, do we have a good product, right? If we do, great. Let's dive into the promise. How are we articulating the value that people are going to get from this purchase, this program that they're going to be working with you through, right? If we get that clear and we are measuring people's success, we're going to talk about that in the next video, right? But if we are clear about how we can deliver success for people, right, and that success is aligned with the success that they are looking for, we're in a great place, right? But for the most part, people don't do a very good job of that, right? They don't understand where their market is really trying to get to. They don't understand what they're really trying to accomplish. And so they're just kind of saying, I can help you with all this stuff. And a lot of it is not relevant, right? Whereas if you can say, hey, this is designed to get you here, and the person says, that's where I want to go, what's inside doesn't really matter, right? What's inside the product doesn't really matter, right? For the most part, people are fascinated and totally attached to describing their process, what they're going to do, what the person's going to get, right? All the ones, twos, and threes of what's going to happen, but they don't talk about the outcome, right? You need to sell outcomes, not procedures. And when we're talking about the promise, we're articulating the outcome, right? Not what's in the program. No one cares what's in your course. Sorry to say it, right? They only care insofar as they're using that as a signpost to say, is this going to get me where I need to go, right? You need to get better at doing the job of saying, this is where you will end up once you have completed this program, right? That's what we need to be able to do. Now, that part, promise, is like I said, we're going to be diving deep into that in the next video because I want to help you nail that down. But the last part of your offering is your proposition, right? Now, your proposition, this could be a little tricky for some people to understand, but it's really simple and straightforward, right? You have the product, which is the thing that you've got. You've got the promise, which is where you're going to say to the market, this is what it's going to do for you. And then you've got the proposition where you're basically going to say, here's the deal. Like, here's how it's going to work. It's going to cost this much. Here's the payment plan. These are the bonuses you're going to get when you get it. This is the package I'm going to give you when you make this purchase. Here's the guarantee. Here are the terms and conditions, right? Like all that sort of stuff, which is like, here's what I propose, right? You come in, you get this product at this price for this much money. It's going to do this for you. And here's the remainder of the kind of deal elements that allow the person to go, wow, like, okay, now I'm interested, right? Because I feel like I'm getting a good deal. A great proposition, right, is where you can kind of attach on all the marketing stuff like the guarantee and the risk reversal and the bonuses and the timing mechanisms and the pricing mechanisms and the name. You can mess around with all of these elements to make what is a clear promise just go supernova, where the person's like, I would be stupid not to take this deal and this offer right now because this is not only exactly what I'm looking for, but I'm coming out on top here. I'm going to get way more value from saying yes to this than the cost that this offer is asking for me in the here and now, right? That's what a great proposition does, is it just kind of like shifts the value force up and removes the cost force, right? The perception of those things. So the market goes, wow, yes, please. Thank you very much, right? And if your offer is not getting enough yeses, right, it's probably because either your product's not good, you haven't got a clear promise, or if you have both of those things, we have just not matched the proposition to what the market needs to say yes, right? Very fortunately, because it's very clear to kind of identify, you're probably going to look at one of these three areas and go, I think that's the issue, right? If you're not able to say very clearly what your promise is, probably need to work on your promise. If you have that down, we probably need to do some work on your proposition. Now, here at Conversion Engineering, we have strategies to tackle all three of these parts of the offering cube: the product, promise, and the proposition. But what we are going to talk about in the next video is the promise, right? We're going to do a deep dive into this. I'm actually going to give you the full strategy that I use when I'm helping clients actually nail down their promise, because I think you're going to love it. Number one, it's a really simple tool. Number two, and you could start using this probably in the next week to start getting more yeses into your education course, into your program, into your membership site, right? Because I'll tell you, if you can clear up your promise and you can clearly articulate it, people are just going to be saying, yes, please. And then you have a much larger flow of folks coming in where you can tweak the other parts, right? Maybe you can then work on the proposition afterwards. But for now, we're going to be diving deep into the promise here and pulling that apart, because like I said, it's the biggest lever of all three here, outside of the product, obviously. But I'm not going to be kind of showing you how to design a product in this video series. I just want to help you re-articulate the value so you get more yeses from your market, right? So go below this video now. Check out the link that's there, right? For the next step, you can go and watch the next video. If you go below the video as well, if you are looking for some help with getting your offer kind of dialed in, if you want me to kind of take a look at your offer and say, kind of pull it apart, apply this model to it, just go below this video, right? Fill out the form that's there, right? We'll just have a quick conversation. We don't need to get in a call. We'll just have a quick text exchange and we can go back and forth. I can kind of take a look at your stuff. I can kind of say, hey, I think it's probably the product, the promise, or the proposition that's the issue here, and can kind of give you some strategies to kind of help you fix that, right? If that's what's interesting to you, go below the video now as well. Check out that form and fill it out, and we can have a really, really quick conversation, right? So it's been Ross Loughlin. Hopefully this video has been useful to you. Don't miss out on the next one, because we're going to be diving deep into your promise. I think you're going to love it. For now, check it out. We'll talk soon.